we here at Proudmouth, our whole focus is to help you rise above the noise and be your own loud, to truly become an influencer and help you accelerate your influence. And that's what Anya does. She helps people and she interviews people who are who are influencers. We were talking before we got started that she just interviewed a gentleman who I follow on TikTok. His name's Harry Mack. Check him out. And he did live rapping using Restream's platform. And so that's what we're using to broadcast to all of you right now. And I've got the greatest person I could possibly think of to pick her brain about how all of you can use this to truly rise above the noise and increase your influence. So Anya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I had so much fun picking your brain. We got a new background, everybody. You got the freaking logo there. Anyway. So we're going to send this to the graphic design team. It's going to be even better. Tell me about Restream. Tell me about like your journey. How did you get to working with this? Are you like a hardcore tech person? Are you a programmer? Are you just a great marketer? Tell us a little bit about your background.
I love that question. I wish I was a great marketer and a programmer and like all those things together. But I think first and foremost, I'm just a very passionate person that is kind of crazy about entrepreneurship and also crazy about making the world a better place and empowering people to do something creative. So that kind of where I started was Restream, and I joined the company about 3 years ago. I actually met with the founders originally, fell in love with their vision of turning the whole world into content creators, allowing every person who has a message to deliver to their community to be their own media, their own channel. And that is what Restream is all about, creating professional live videos easily without any editing experience and delivering your important message to your community in real time.
And oh my God, talk about easy, guys. I mean, literally, you hook up your social media channels, you give them permission. There's all sorts of, like Anya and I went super deep. Well, probably not. I felt it was super deep, but we went deep into the setup and all of that sort. Guys, this is about as easy as possible. And Anya, as you know, as we talked before, our audience for this podcast is financial services professionals, and I'm sure immediately they're thinking compliance is going to be an issue. So, and this is education for you and our audience, because here's the deal. For those of you who are working and who are your own RIA, this is not a problem at all. And here's why. Because live is looked at very different than pre-recorded. So when you bring this to your broker dealer or your compliance department, please remember to tell them that this is live, because they treat live differently, especially if it's an interview like I'm doing with Anya right now. You will be able to do this. Also, the super cool thing about this is you can then take this file, because it's actually part of the system. It records for you the minute you hit stream. And then you can submit that to compliance, so that if you're going to repurpose it, which is what we do here, at Proudmouth, if you repurpose it, then you can make sure that you can do any editing, which, by the way, is very, very simple to do, any editing that you need to do in order to reutilize this video. We are going to strip out the audio from this. We're going to turn this into lots of social media posts, just like you can too. But I wanted, Anya, for you to know that, because I know that you guys realize that the financial service space is so powerful. Can you give us an example of other experts, right? So not somebody like a financial advisor specifically, but other people, experts that have used Restream to help them rise above the noise, just like you're talking about, and own their own media.
Yeah, absolutely. So the things really changed for Restream in early 2020 when the pandemic hit. And it also, as a complete coincidence, happened to be the same time when we released our studio. So originally, historically, Restream was a multi-streaming service only. So you had to have a different encoder in order to send your live streaming to all those social platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and more. So you needed to use something like Zoom or OBS or Ecamm. There are many, many others out there. So in early 2020, we built this studio, which kind of took care of the encoding part for you and made it very easy. So the entry barrier is super low. Anyone can do it. And with that came the opportunity to offer this way of streaming and connecting with your audience on social media for anybody. And that really kind of revolutionized the way that people started streaming and the type of users that we started to see. Traditionally, we had a lot of gamers. Traditionally, we had a lot of live video producers, professional video editors. But now we're looking at churches, we're looking at fitness centers, we're
Mhm.
looking at marketers, social media managers, all kinds of people who are professionals in their field using Restream.
So something that a lot of you might not know because I don't have it turned on is there's a live chat thing that can show that actually is already on my screen as the person who's running the show. So you can answer live questions and from whether it's utilizing this for churches, utilizing this for other live content producers, you can interact directly with your client. Or you can turn that stuff off, which is super important for some of you out there who aren't allowed to have that sort of live interaction that is captured and archived. Um, let's talk about the reach, right? So, how does Restream or how can Restream help you get a greater audience?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when you think about your audience and you think about different spaces where you created those networks, right? You of course come up with a bunch. It's usually for most of people it's a long list, right? You have your email list, you have your community on Facebook. That could be a page, that could be a group, that could be a personal profile. You also might have a Twitter channel that is kind of sort of active. You're probably having a good connection network on LinkedIn, business professionals, your clients, your coworkers. So now think about how you could unite all of those audiences and kind of like put them together in one place. And this is what Restream is doing. And the chat feature that you mentioned is a great opportunity to allow all those people to have conversation together. And Restream has tools to highlight those comments, either display them all on your screen or highlight them individually, so everyone knows what other people from different channels and sources are contributing to the conversation. And that creates a super engaging experience because your audience feels like it's a two-way street. It's not just you talking. It's not a lecture. It's a conversation. And that's kind of what we talked about earlier, right? Like it's much more engaging when people are talking to each other and not just one person pitching or preaching, depending on what you're doing. So this is the power of live video. And this is what helps you grow and expand because you reach more eyeballs. You're bringing content to where your audience is already. So if I hang out on LinkedIn all day, you're not telling me to go and land on YouTube page or on your
Yeah.
website, but you're also aggregating them all together in one interactive experience.
Think about that. So I want to unpack just a little bit of that because there's a lot there. Um,
Yeah.
First off, uh, how neat is it that all of those chats can be aggregated into one timeline and people can say, well, gosh, I didn't know Anya was on Instagram, or I didn't know Anya was on Twitter. Oh my gosh, there's another person who has the same experience that I do, or we have the same experience. Now you're starting to create a community, right? And that is what all of us want. We want to create a base of fans, raving fans who love what we do and why we do it because we are that expert that they go to. And this is super powerful. I love watching live stream stuff. Now, my kids, of course, for gamers, right? They're live watching live Twitch streams and all of that sort of stuff. And I know that a lot of older people like me might think, oh, this is just for young kids. No, we have gotten so much interaction by using Restream and using this live broadcast platform with people on LinkedIn. And I want to focus on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is the place for business. And if you are a professional who wants to sell your services and your expertise to other business owners, you've got to do this on LinkedIn. Oh my goodness gracious. Because what we're doing right now is we're not only broadcasting to our company page, but we're also doing it to my personal profile on LinkedIn too. How freaking cool is that? And I'm on YouTube and I'm on Facebook and I'm freaking on Twitter. I can't believe we can do all of these things with the click of one button, literally the click of one button. All right. So what are some of the tips and tricks that you have? So yes, I'm sure that there's going to be a bunch of people to sign up and all you have to do is go to restream.io. That is the website to go ahead and sign up for Restream. You're going to see down in the bottom that we've got a little plug for our Influence Accelerator Academy. All you have to do is type that in. Join our academy because we're going to bring stuff like this to you all the time to make sure that you can truly rise above the noise. But Anya, what are some of the best tips and tricks that you can give our audience that you found are wildly successful when you're live streaming?
Yeah, it's a good question because I myself started live streaming just about a year ago when all this pandemic hit, and I've been using Restream for like testing purposes and as an employee, but I actually started my own thing, my regular shows, my weeklies, my every other Wednesday Q&A sessions with people just a year ago, and I was kind of watching myself progress and learn as I was going. So there's definitely a lot to unpack here and point out. I would say my number one tip is don't get crazy focused on gear. And this is a very common mistake that people make. Oh gosh, I need this studio that looks like Fox News, and I need this black magic cameras and 7 lights and the best mic in the world and 5 assistants. One will be running around with this little powder thing to make sure I'm not shiny on the camera. And that's when I can go live. Well, this is not the case at all. First of all you need to do to go live is a decent microphone. So that's one investment that you want to make, because like you were saying earlier, you're repurposing this into a podcast. A lot of people experience live streams as podcasts. They just have that tab open and they're doing their work. They're listening to you. So your audio is crucial. That has to be good. But other than that, a simple web camera and some kind of lighting, could be natural lighting, or if you're ready to invest in some artificial lights like Elgato key lights, that's your next step. And remember that you can always build on. You can start and kind of like MVP your product and see how your live show is going. Do you have traction? Do you get engagement? Is this worthy of your time? Do you get conversions from this? And then you can add on and continue building your studio. So don't get stuck on this idea that unless I have this Hollywood level production room, I cannot go live. You absolutely can. And you should. And a lot of times with videos with less production value get more engagement and traction because of the message and the powerful idea that you're sharing and delivering to your community.
Well,
so that would be my number one
well,
tip.
and I wholeheartedly agree, because that's where a lot of people get stuck in podcasting, Anya, is they're like, oh my God, I need to buy, the Rodecaster Pro system, which can be up to $1,500. I need to have a soundproof room. I remember the first guest we ever had on, we weren't live streaming, we were just podcasting. Yeah. And we were on Skype, because it's how long ago we were just using Skype. We weren't using cool technology. And I said, hey, can you guys turn your video on? I'd like to just talk to you before we get started. And they're like, well, no, we're not going to turn our video on. I'm like, why? Because this is what they said. We were told that we needed to sit in a dark room with a towel over our head in the microphone in order to sound the best. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, okay, now you totally have to turn your cameras on, because I want to see both of you with your towels over your head. And, they laughed, and it was an uncomfortable laughter. But so just so everybody knows here, my video setup is very, very simple. I have a microphone here that is actually, this is a little upgrade to a microphone because this is what I do for a living. But you can use something as easy as a Samson QU2, which is like a $29, $30 microphone. It's magnificent. It's plug and play. It's a directional microphone, which will plug directly into your computer. Now, I have a panel LED light up here that I can turn on and off, right? Super, super simple. That was $29 on I don't know, eBay, Amazon, whatever. And then I have a Microsoft Surface tablet. So I don't even have like a crazy webcam. I just have my Microsoft Surface tablet that I look into. And this whole setup is super simple. It was really easy. We're producing what I consider is pretty darn tootin' good video. In fact, our friends at Idea Decanter, who are our video friends who help you build great video for your website, they were very impressed with my unbelievably cheap setup. Okay, so gear was the first one. What is the second piece of advice that you have for people who want to start live streaming?
Yeah. And the second thing is actually very simple. It's actually getting started, right? Like the only way you will learn about how to do your live streams and how to make them successful is to experiment. And one of the important things is that there's so many different ways of running your live show. What we're doing right now is probably the easiest way to create content. And I definitely recommend to start with something like this, because interviews, it's basically a little bit of cheating. You don't have to prepare your content. You don't have to think about the whole, like, how do I feel in 30 minutes of time? All you need to do is to think about an interesting guest who can help you fill in the time for you, right? And then you have to ask them some intelligent questions and kind of like help to guide the conversation. But that's all your work. And it's a lot less work than creating a 40-minute presentation. Another tip or trick of that sort, if you're like, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about, I'm a financial advisor, I know my stuff, some of that is compliance covered, like what do I do, is ask me anything or Q&A session type stream. This is brilliant because this is extra engaging. And this is, again, helping you to use your community and your audience to feed you questions. And that's going to help you flow let your content flow, right? Instead of preparing a plan, I mean, you got to prepare something to kind of get the people started. But
Right.
then once you encourage them to throw those questions in the chat and you just go off those questions, do a little screen share, show something that they want to know and see, that is the easiest way to get started. And then you can continue building on. You can create amazing videos. You can create amazing production. You can have co-hosts. You can talk about things, show graphics and presentations. But overall, interviews and Q&As are the easiest entry points for you to understand if live streaming is for you.
Bringing this to as you just did brilliantly with financial services, many of you are doing webinars, right? And so why wouldn't you use this as your webinar instead of driving somebody to a link that's an external link? Why wouldn't you have people sign up for this or know that you're going live? Now, there's lots of different ways to hook some stuff up, which we're not going to get into because that's probably too deep for our audience. But how awesome would it be to say, Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, we're going to talk about Roth conversions and how important it is in a low tax rate environment here in the United States. I'm going to do a 20-minute presentation and take live questions. Talk about interaction. You just opened up all of these different platforms. You can get questions from Twitter and your Facebook group and your personal Facebook page, your business Facebook page. You can get questions on LinkedIn. The interactive aspect of this is what Anya is talking about is so powerful, and the applications are unbelievable. Now, I don't have anything else up on my screen right now, or I would show you how easy it is for me to click one button and bring up a screen share, right? So I could be here, right? And then I could have, Anya, where Anya's, picture is. I could have my presentation there. I could show live videos. It's unbelievable, the fluidity of this. And I truly believe that those of you who are doing online webinars right now are not maximizing everything that you can do unless you use a product like this. Okay, so get started, Anya. My favorite thing in the whole wide world is to tell people if you're going to start podcasting, here's the two things that you need. You need this and you need this. These are old earbuds, right? With those two things, you can start a podcast. In fact, there's apps that you can download on your phone. And those apps that you download on your phone can not only help you produce and edit your podcast, but also syndicate it all over the place. It's just super, super powerful. Okay, so that was number 2. What's the third tip that you'd like to give our audience about live streaming to be successful?
Yeah, so based on our conversation, I kind of wanted to build on what you said in terms of creating those alternatives to webinars, but make those very interactive live experiences for people. So there is also a tip, or I guess a trick, that I recommend to people who want to keep some of their content exclusive. So it's a huge thing for certain categories of people, and I'm assuming, even though I'm not an expert, financial advisors might be in that category as well. Specifically, trainers, consultants are usually kind of like sitting in that space where they don't want to give away all of their knowledge for free, and they want to have some kind of like exclusive opportunity for some of their community members. So what Restream can do for you is you can actually create private events on LinkedIn. You can create a private group on Facebook. You can create an unlisted event on YouTube. So most platforms that you can think about have some kind of like an exclusivity specialty event situation set up. So you can set those up and you can still stream to multiple platforms, but to those exclusive events. Another thing that you can do is you can start your stream on all social, open for everybody, and create a teaser experience and say, hey, I am a financial advisor. I have this knowledge and expertise. Let me tell you about the what. So what I'm going to be talking about, for example, your taxes or your investments, right? And then if you want to learn how, or you want to learn more, if you really want to drill deep into this, then please meet me in my closed Facebook group, which is, by the way, here's the link how you can sign up. And these are the terms and like the steps for you to become part of that exclusive community membership. And that's where I'm going to drop even more knowledge bombs that are going to be for that specific exclusive group only. And that can be done within the same stream. All you need to do is go to your dashboard and toggle off the channels that were public for everyone and just keep that special Facebook group or LinkedIn event. No need to even restart your stream. Just exclude some people and keep the exclusive ones in. So that's one of the kind of like hacky ways of approaching live streaming. But that's something I've been recommending to people recently, and people were like mind blown.
Well, especially if we need to make sure that you have a little bit more control, and from a compliance standpoint, if we want to make sure that you can be a little bit more exclusive, that's absolutely fantastic. Being able to tease somebody to get them behind a compliance approved paywall or a compliance approved stream post, Facebook group, LinkedIn community, whatever. That makes an enormous amount of sense, and really adds to the power. I'm going to need to set another appointment with you to ask you how to do a lot of this stuff. But actually,
Yeah.
I'm gonna harken back to something you said before, because I knew that we were streaming today, and I wanted to ask Anya a whole bunch of questions before we started. But there's this really cool thing on this app, and she was telling us about it. Why don't you take a minute and talk a little bit about the support feature? Because I was really surprised at this, because this is not normal.
That's a good ramp that you built for me there. That is not normal. So I would say it should be normal for
Yeah.
us, extremely compassionate and entrepreneurs that build our whole company on the empathy for our users. Because what we want to do with the simplicity of Studio that you experienced yourself
Mhm.
recently is to make sure that the interface is super intuitive, that people don't need to think hard in order to understand how to do this. Our tools are not defeating you as a creator, they
Yeah.
are empowering you and they make it very easy. So that's kind of the vision of Restream founding team. So with that in mind, we decided that for our users, we do want to have support, and that support is going to be the best that we can possibly do, right? So we currently have a support chat that is 24/7, real humans. They're no, it's not a bot. It's not a create a ticket and then someone will come back to you in a week. It's 24/7 real humans with response times under 4 minutes, and that applies to both paid and free accounts. So if you are a free user, you pay us nothing. You created an account and you're just using the free version of Restream, you are, in our mind, still entitled to
Huh.
get a response for onboarding, tech issue, question, advice, some kind of glitch that you don't understand within minutes from a real human being, from a real person. So this is what we're super proud of. And our support team is, just superheroes there. They're very smart, very intelligent, and very capable to actually help you out. So don't hesitate to use that chat button and ask your question, get help with onboarding, and succeed with your streams, because that's what we're going for.
Okay, I had no idea that you had a free level. We bought you immediately, just because of that's just we you met with Kirk. Um, was blown. Kirk was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that we have the opportunity to do this, and it's this simple." Okay, so as we kind of wrap up today, let's talk about how people can reach out to you. I mean, I don't know if they should reach out to you directly. What should they do if they're like, okay, I totally want to figure this out? What should they do?
Yeah, that's a great one. I will send you the link in our kind of personal chat, I guess, to my LinkedIn page. This
Oh,
is
oh,
probably
perfect.
the easiest way to connect with me, and I try to check it at least once a day. Try to respond whenever I can. So this is a great way to connect with me, and that's also a great way to watch my shows, to kind of see what I'm doing. I'm creating a ton of content around Restream. I have like a micro content series called 90 seconds, where in 90 seconds I actually explain the things like what I was explaining earlier. How do you untoggle one channel and just keep one going? How do you record only without going live anywhere using Restream? How do you download audio without even worrying about your video? Like little things. I'm trying to make sure it's very short and sweet, and you don't have to dedicate an hour to kind of following that. And that's also a great place to talk to me directly. Send me a direct message and ask me a question. And I sometimes it's just traffic directing. Sometimes I say, hey, the support team will be the better feed for this question, or you got to talk to our customer success or marketing people if you want to partner. I do also run influencer marketing department. So if you are an influencer, if you have a big audience and you have you partner with other software companies and you're interested in promoting our services to your communities, then I'm your girl. You should talk to me and we'll see how we can work together.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, so I just put all of the links, by the way, in the chat here. But what we're also going to do, since this is also going to be a podcast, so we're going to make sure that these are in the show notes. Shameless plug from our perspective. Um, we are overly excited about this, and here's why. We've talked about, since we built this company 4.5 years ago, that we wanted to have a single point of entry for our clients to create as much custom content as possible. And we've gotten a lot of questions about video. Matt, how can we do video successfully without an enormous amount of editing, without an enormous amount of setup and nightmare equipment, all of the things that Anya talked about today. And we think that this is the solution. It's so fundamentally easy. So just think about this for a moment. You show up. We do interviews, right? So that's our interview format is how we create content. So you show up just like Anya and I did today. We basically hand you the microphone. You do your show, right? Whatever that is. We're talking about whatever in financial services that we need to talk about in order to educate your clients. And we have experts, by the way, who help ask you those questions. You show up, we hand you the microphone, you get done, you drop the mic, you walk away. Then we do everything else. We'll make sure that the video, it's already going to be on YouTube, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can take the video and cut it up into snippets for you to share socially. We're going to pull the audio out of this to turn it into a podcast. We're also going to turn this into a video quotes or video posts, audio quotes, text memes, all of those sorts of things. So it is a single point of entry to cover every aspect of content marketing that you need to get your voice out and rise above the noise. And we think that what Anya's team has created and everybody at the team at Restream has created is so easy to do this. Look at the quality. I mean, holy crap, the quality is amazing. And it's wonderfully interactive. And that's wonderful. So, Anya, thank you so much. Thank you for one. I don't even know. How did you and Kirk connect? Do you remember?
I believe our affiliate partner program lead that we just started to work with, Patty McGill, is the one who is friends with Kirk, and that's how he started the conversation.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Patty's on my team, and we were extremely fortunate to have him. And he said, "Hey, you should do a podcast," because he's relatively new, and he's like, "You just have a little bit more institutional knowledge and more about some quirky questions that people sometimes ask, like, how exactly do I do this? That RTMP thing that you asked earlier." Yeah. So that's why I was kind of offered to participate in this. And I am so happy I did. It was such a wonderful experience.
And thank you so much, and thank you to Patty if you're listening. Thank you so much for making this introduction. This is something that we're super excited about, and honestly believe that this is the next level in financial services. Truly believe that this is the next level. If you want to become that influencer, live streaming is the best way to reach. And I want to highlight this very quickly. Most of you are not marketing to Generation X. Most of you aren't. I happen to be one of them. Very, very comfortable with this technology. I watch live stream stuff all the time. We're in peak earning years. We're going to be making deposits, not withdrawals. And if you talk to me in the medium I prefer while I'm there, which is freaking live streaming, and then all the content multiplication that we do, I am going to be a client for you for life. Can you imagine a small investment to get somebody like me? Well, you might not want me, but whatever. Somebody like me, right? A business owner, an entrepreneur, again, peak earning years, all of that sort of stuff, to consistently be a client of yours for the next 20, 30 years. A super small investment on the front end of that to make it so that you can truly impact your community, I believe is your professional responsibility. All right, Anya. So for Anya and everybody here at Restream and all of us at Proudmouth, we want to thank you very much. If you have not subscribed to our podcast, make sure you click that subscribe now button below. That way, every time we come out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. If you want to know anything else about what we do here at Proudmouth, please just connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can go ahead and email me, matt@proudmouth.com, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. And we'll see you all on the other side of the mic very soon.